definitely given you like a lot to work from for Sleeping Beauty. Like as I said, we've covered pretty much. The only act that we missed out was the Act 2, which is the more Edwardian sort of style era. So you've done really, really well, and I must say that you've all just really grasped the choreography sort of straight away with feeling and the idea of the performance and the different styles from the different eras. It's been really, really fantastic to see, and the creativity is really, really good. So yeah, thank you for that. But now's your time. I think you've got some questions, maybe. A few of you have particular questions, but if any of you want to know about what it's like to be in the company, anything about our training or how we got into dance or anything, really, whatever you...
The floor is yours.
Yeah.
Zoe, you kick off.
Be the first one.
What's your name?
My name is Katie Lowenhoff.
My name's Phil King.
Phil King.
Do we have to do the same person? Because obviously we've only write down one person.
Or it could count as both your interviews.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you do both, there you go. Oh, okay. Well, it's good to have both, so we have a knowledge of...
Oh, how do you spell Katie?
K-A-T-Y.
Okay, don't spend too long writing the answers down, just jot notes down because we've only got limited time, yeah?
What were your roles?
I played Hibernia, Fairy, and I was also Miss Maddox, so Aurora's governess, who looks after her. So it was quite a nice range, because Miss Maddox is a lot more sort of an acting sort of role, so that was really helpful for me to develop my sort of acting skills and everything. And Hibernia was had a lot more dancing in the show, so it was quite a nice balance to have. Yeah.
I did Tantrum, the Fairy of Temperament, Autumnus, the Fairy of Plenty, and Bertie, who's the Royal Footman, which was like the servant to the King and Queen, which was, again, it's a really similar situation. One is much more acting role, and the other two are very dancing roles, so it was really good.
Anyone else?
Girls, come on, quick.
What age
What's
did you
your
begin your career?
I'm 31.
I'm 29.
I started dancing. So I think I got my first job when I was 19, and I worked with EMB Extra Swan Lake, and then I started my work with Matthew Vaughan's company when I was 21.
So I started at the age of 20 with Vienna Festival Ballet. This is professionally, sorry, and I started working with Matthew in 2014 at the age of 26?
Yeah,
26, I think, yeah.
Anyone else?
What is your current role?
My current role, I'm actually more of a reborn practitioner, so I deliver a lot of these workshops to schools. I've taught at WOMAD Festival over the summer, which was quite cool. I got a microphone, so I was with everyone, which was quite fun. And we did a range of workshops there. We covered Early Adventures, Cinderella and Swan Lake. And you're going to be going into Swan Lake, aren't you?
I'll be going into Swan Lake, so you can say I'm a swan if you want. But
Or
right
previously, with Sleeping Beauty, we were Hibernia and Miss Maddox, and you were...
Autumnus, Tantrum and Bertie. And I'm a teacher now, so I teach the company and I teach workshops and that kind of thing. And in August I'll be performing in Swan Lake, starting in August.
Yes.
She says career. Like,
They've kind of given you a little bit of that already, so you can probably move on to the next question.
Where did you train, like, growing up?
I trained at a local dance school from about the age of 10 to 15. I just went to a local dance school, and then I did GCSE and... No, I didn't do GCSE dance. I just did A-level dance, actually. So I stopped dancing at 15 because I thought I didn't want to do it anymore. And then I started doing again for my A-levels. So at just my high school called QES. and then I went to Rondbear School for my professional training.
And I started dance classes when I was 3 because my best friend at the time went, so I read one on if I could go. And then I ended up going to Arts Ed Tring, or it's called Tring Park now, when I was 14, and I did my GCSEs and A-levels there, and then graduated and started auditioning for work. Yeah.
How long do you train in a day?
So with the company, it depends really if we're in rehearsal period or if we're on tour. Generally in rehearsal period, normally if we're doing a show that's been created already, it's a 4-week rehearsal period. However, for Cinderella this time round, they only had something like 3.5 weeks, and that's a really fast turnaround. The only time, the time that I've done that was when we did Carman, which was again a really quick turnaround, because we did Edward Scissorhands, and then we went straight into rehearsals for Carman, and then we did Carman on tour. So 3.5 weeks is quite a lot to fit in a whole show, as you can imagine. And Cinderella's a 3-act piece, so it's actually one of Matthew Bourne's longest productions. Most of his productions actually are sort of around the two-hour mark, but Cinderella I think is maybe half an hour longer. So yeah, normally it's 4 weeks. In that process, we will have class at 10 a.m. every morning through to either 10:15 or 10:30. Then we have a break. Then we have rehearsal period until lunch. Then after lunch, which is usually an hour, but generally half an hour because people are pretty much practicing because we have to learn 2 or 3 roles. So it's a full-on day. We go until, I think, actually Cinderella went until half 7. Half 7, and that's usually 6 days a week. So 10 until 7:30.
8.5.
Yeah, for 6 days a week. Then once we get to Sadler's Wells, we get Mondays off, but we do 2 shows a day on weekends. So we have 4 show weekends, which start our classes usually at 11:45. I think around 11:30, 11:45, depending on what time the show starts. Then we have a 2.5 hour show. Then we have a break, enough time to get food, drink, have a rest. Sometimes I used to have a nap because it'd be quite tiring. And then start to get ready again for the show. I used to get ready about 6, half 6 for a 7:30 show. Oh no, sorry, earlier than that. I used to get ready at, no, maybe it was 6. 6 to start warming up again, reapplying makeup, reapplying wigs, doing the hair, getting ready so that you could warm up for a 7:30 show, and then finish at about 9:30 or 10, but I think a bit later with Cinderella. But then when we go on UK tours, it's a little bit different. We have Sundays and Mondays off, so that's our weekend. And we do Tuesdays is our get-in into the theatre wherever we're touring to, and we do a dress rehearsal. Then we have our first show. Then on Wednesday usually we have 1 show, so we have a bit later start. Thursday we have 2 shows, so we're in at 11:30 again or 11:15. Friday 1 show, and then 2 shows on Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday, travel days, and the day off.
Why did you choose dance?
Well, I chose dance because when I was at school, I was at a grammar school, and it was very academic based, and basically I wasn't a great student. My mind didn't work in that way that I wanted to sit in a classroom and sort of learn those kind of things. And I really enjoyed creative subjects. I really enjoyed art and drama and design technology and those kind of things. And I think my mum just suggested I should go to dance class because they were offering it to the girls after school. And my mum was like, being quite a liberal mum in the 90s, was like, that's ridiculous, they should be offering it to boys as well. So she kind of used me as an example and put me into ballet class instead of football. And that was it really. From that age I didn't really question it, and then growing up I decided I wanted to do it more. And then A-level dance became an opportunity at a different school, so I moved to that school to do that. And then sort of that's why I'm here today really. Yeah.
I decided to follow a career in dance because I think it had always been something that had been a massive... I just always loved dancing, basically. My dad used to tell me off for pirouetting in the kitchen and, you know, trying to balance whilst I was brushing my teeth. It was something that I just, once I started, as I say, when I was sort of 3, I just really, really enjoyed it. And me and my sisters, I've got 2 young sisters, we used to sort of beg mum and dad for us to do shows when we were younger, push back the sofas and do shows on Sunday nights. and then, yeah, I just decided, I think when I was sort of about 13 or 14, that it was something that I really wanted to try and pursue as a career. And then I, put in a lot of hard work and dedication, and through auditioning and everything, you do have to have a lot of determination and quite a thick skin as well, and you just have to really sort of keep on going for it. And I'm glad that I did, because I always wanted to do a job that I enjoyed. I felt like that was an important thing to me.
Any more questions? Is there any more on the list? No, that's it. Is there anyone, maybe perhaps from A2s, that have got any questions regarding the written paper, anything to do with like characteristics of Matthew Bourne, or anything that you think that would help you answer a question?
Do you want to know about costumes or anything like that, or like set design? Because Les Bronston is the designer who works, you know, really closely with Matt. He's done Nutcracker, Sleeping Beauty, Red Shoes. The fairy solos, the fairy cot material that we did, you'll probably know from watching the DVD, but we have these fantastic, like, beautiful period sort of dresses, and the boys have like these amazing like velvet sort of trousers with velvet waistcoats, and it's all really beautifully embroidered. The attention to detail is fantastic, so it gives this massive like depth of fabric to the costumes. But they're also a nightmare to dance in. They're really difficult, and I mean, I weighed my costume and it was half a stone, so to have that sort of like to work with as well, and with all of this upper back, which, you know, you do in these like nice fitness outfits, and it's like, oh yeah, it feels really, really good, and then all of a sudden you're put in a costume which can sometimes be quite restrictive, and so as a dancer and as a performer, that's one of the things that we really have to sort of maintain, that level of full-bodied dancing, even though we might feel like, you know, oh God, that's really a little bit tight for me to move my arm up there, or, you know, oh, I can't, because the corset was even boned, so trying to get contraction was, you're working against fabric that doesn't really want to be moving in that way. So sometimes the costumes can be quite tricky to sort of not let it affect the quality and the precision of the movement. But then there's other costumes like Carman, which are just fantastic to dance in. They're like summer dresses. They're really like floaty and free, and I would say like something like that, or Nutcracker, when Clara is dancing in a night dress with her pas de deux with Filbert, and that's really nice to dance in, because it's just a very simple silk night dress, and you're dancing in bare feet, so it feels really lovely, and freedom from the costumes. I'm trying to think what else we can talk about.
Something you said earlier to me about the music, that's really interesting, about how he only had 4 counts to articulate something really important, so he...
Yeah, I'll let Phil talk about that.
So the music you've heard today, mainly for the rep, is all Tchaikovsky, who I hope you've all heard of, very famous Russian composer, and he did a lot of the masterpieces and a lot of the ballets that Matthew's reworked. He's actually done a trilogy of ballets, all by Tchaikovsky. This music was written in 1890, and it can't really be can only be played within reason sort of one way. You can obviously play it a bit faster or play it a bit slower, but that's the way the score exists, and traditionally ballet companies wouldn't really play with that. But with Matthew's work, because there's such this emphasis on storytelling and telling story through dance, not just through sort of mimes and gestures, but actually within the dance. Sometimes he'll look at a scene and he'll say, we need to get this really strong point across. You know, we need the audience to know, for example, that he's very jealous of that guy over there. That might be the point of the scene, that we're portraying this jealousy. And he'll say, well, we've only got 4 counts to show it. So he'll watch it and go, no, that's not reading. And then he'll put a spotlight on it and go, no, that's still not reading. So then he'll actually go to a man called Terry Davies, who's he arranges music. He's a composer, but he arranges the music, and he'll say to Terry, is there a way we can get another couple of 8s of music in here? And Terry goes away and works his magic and comes back, and still using the traditional Tchaikovsky score, he's got an extra 2 8s in there, so then we can really drive that point home and make a much stronger scene. And that's the way we work the whole time. We'll start with the sort of traditional score, and then there's this back and forth communication while they're creating the show, where they cut a little bit out here and maybe put a little bit in there, but it's all music that Tchaikovsky's written, so it's an arrangement of Tchaikovsky. And he does that across the board, so he'll do that with the Red Shoes we've just done, he does that with Bernard Herrmann's music, with Cinderella he'll do that with the Prokofiev score, yeah. So that's a really interesting thing about the way Matthew works. He's a collaborative choreographer,
Yeah.
so he doesn't just get given a design and get given a piece of music and then he does his part. There's a 3-way conversation between design, between
Lighting,
music,
in fact, as well.
lighting as well, yeah. And that's everything. He might even look at a costume and change the shoes because the dancer can't dance in them, or
Yeah.
the scene doesn't work in that costume, and that does happen. Sometimes they'll spend £1,000 on a handmade dress and he'll watch it and go, that looks terrible, we need to change that. And he'll get another dress made, completely different, redesign it. It's a really interesting process, and the shows are always evolving because of that. And sometimes he might look at a show the second time round, having not seen it for 5 years or 7, 8 years, and then he'll make the change. He'll see something and go, God, did I think that was okay 8 years ago? Right, we need to change that. And he'll come in and make a change then. So the shows, I mean, Swan Lake must have been through 15 different versions of Swan Lake, all within the same, obviously the same kind of themes and choreography, and when you watch it you wouldn't particularly know, but he's constantly refining his work, all the details, yeah. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, that's good, that's good. Yeah, I think that's probably, we need to leave it there.
Yeah.